be going very well. Here's what President Trump had to say about it.
We have a big team of people, very talented people over in China right now, negotiating on the China deal. It's going along very well. We'll see what happens, but I think it's going along very well. They're showing us tremendous respect, and something which a lot of countries didn't used to show the United States. They're showing us respect now. Big difference from the old days, I will tell you that. So the deal with China is going very well. The economy is doing fantastically. A radical left.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin began high-level talks today in Beijing. President Trump is even considering giving China a 60-day deadline extension before considering more tariffs. So, Rick, how much progress can we expect to be made by that March 1st deadline?
I think there are two contradictory things going on here. I think one, I don't think they're making great progress on the hardest issues with China, and they're never going to get to those by May 1st, or March 1st, sorry, or I think it's March 2nd technically is the deadline. Only a couple of weeks away at this point. But at the same time, Trump and other people in the administration are giving these signals like, yeah, we're getting there, we're getting there, we think a deal is close. They are almost undermining their own negotiating leverage by the things that they're saying right now. And I feel like what's going on is Trump is getting so antsy about the economy and about markets, and he wants to be able to give markets something to feel happy about. And he needs a deal in order to do that. It almost seems like Trump himself is losing patience. I don't know, but we're starting to hear that these talks are possibly this deadline's going to slip, and we might have another 2 months here. I think people watching this have expected that to happen all along, and we've been talking about that.
I think it was always a soft deadline.
Absolutely, and it's an arbitrary deadline too. I mean, Trump just made it up. But by extending the deadline is basically taking the extra set of tariffs off the table, because Trump's original position, let's remember, was if the Chinese don't make concessions, meaningful concessions by March 1st, then these new tariffs are going into effect. So what appears to be the case is the Chinese have not made those concessions, because if they had, we would have a deal. And yet Trump is not putting those new tariffs in place. I think he realizes he just can't get away with it.
You've got this report now from the Journal saying that the Chinese are looking at buying up, $200 billion in U.S. semiconductors, which seems to suggest that the Chinese still, if you want to be blunt, are a bit delusional in terms of what the expectation is on the Washington side of things, because as you point out, it really is about structural changes. At least that's how the administration has sort of framed the debate, saying it's not really about trade, it's not about buying more goods. We want changes to IP protection. We want changes to tech transfers.
Well, the Trump administration has never explicitly told us, the American public, what exactly they are asking China to do. I mean, they have sort of said, China has our list, and they've never made public the list. But there's apparently a very specific list with dozens of bullet point items on it.
Amounts of soybean tons per year.
That kind of thing. But it ranges from that kind of stuff, just buying more American stuff, to the sort of structural change you're talking about. And so I think what's likely to happen is the reason they probably did not make that public is because they don't want this to be out there as a checklist when there is a final deal, so everybody can go say, did they get this? Did they get this? Did they get this? So what is probably going to happen, this is what all the people who follow China closely say, is there's no way they're going to agree to structural changes in the way they run their economy. This is the way they've been running their economy for 30 years. It has worked for them. They're not going to change. And that is, they're not going to give up the influence over the big state-owned companies that are sort of controlled by the Chinese government, and they are probably not going to stop stealing Western technology, although they are going to say they stop, or they're going to probably pretend they never did it. So they're not going to do those things. What they can do, and this is how you get to a deal, is yes, we can buy more American stuff, whether it's soybeans or semiconductors, whatever. One of the things Trump has focused on over and over is just the trade deficit, the number.
Right.
So sure, China can do some things to at least get part of that number better from the U.S. perspective, and that is buy more American stuff, so the export part of the trade deficit improves from the U.S. perspective. They can do that, and they can stop doing that a year or two from now, or if Trump is no longer president in 2021, they can just go back to the way it used to be. And I think that's part of what these negotiations probably are about, is how do we sort of enforce this down? Whatever the agreement is, how do we enforce it and make sure that it lasts?
All right, we will watch closely, see if a deal comes together. Thank you, Rick.
See you guys.